We're back. We're back. Well, kinda. Actually, this week will be a little different. Chris is actually on a business trip in Hawaii, and he is unable to attend this podcast episode this week. But it's all good. I'm flying solo. We got Miami predictions. We got new teams entering the grid. We got a lot to talk about. I know I'm just chilling by myself, and we're gonna get through this, and we're gonna have a fun time. But nah, man. I mean, let's just get right into it, guys. We got Miami coming up. We literally have Miami debuting for the first time. And let me tell you, there hasn't been a single lap recorded on that track yet. And it is already loathed. I mean, man, I have no problem with Formula One going into new cities or new tracks or anything like that. But I don't know. I just feel like Miami could have been really cool. They just missed the mark. We're racing in a car park like 30 minutes outside of Miami. It's not even really Miami. Um, like the track is pretty decent. There's a little tricky chicane on it. It's like a weird corner on that track, but also the pit entry on that track is a little weird. They hit you with a chicane in the pit entry. So it's like it's kind of weird. It's a little bit fugazi, but I don't know, man. I just I just think they missed the mark a little bit. And I know like I don't really have Chris to bounce off right now, and I just want to talk to all of you, and I want to see what y'all think in the comments below. But like I don't know. It just feels like a little bit of a money grab, doesn't it? It like right, just a little bit. I mean, for God's sakes, man, we built I'm from America. Chris is from America. We built a fake marina, a fake yacht club with cement for water. It's like I don't know. It just feels a little bit out of touch. It feels a little bit like okay. It reminds you that Formula One is kind of the playground for rich people, which it's whatever. I'm here for the racing. I'm here for the drama. I'm here for all that. I feel that, but I just want to get that out of the way and just feel like I just feel like the Miami GP is just a little bit fugazi and a little bit of a money grab. But I mean, honestly, man, it's going to be a good weekend. It's always going to be a good weekend when there's a new track debuting, and to see Miami on the calendar, it is cool. So just going off of that, it's going to be really cool to see all the guys race around the circuit this weekend. But going into that, I mean, man, where do we even begin? We have some teams doing a little bit of upgrading this GP. We have some teams, not doing any upgrading at all. You got the rumors where Pierre Gasly's going to go. You got Audi and Porsche entering the grid. Aston Martin apparently has been talking with them for a while, and they're happy with Mercedes power. And it looks like Lawrence is he's sticking around for the time being. But there's a whole lot of things happening this weekend. I mean, we got Lewis and Mercedes need to come back because George Russell's been nothing but consistent. So that's one thing, but I don't know. Mercedes just need to figure out their car. But I mean, let's get into this kind of stuff we see going on this week. I know Chris would have had some big choice of words about this week, but it is what it is. That dude's enjoying himself in Hawaii right now. But I mean, right now you have Lando earlier this week just discussing the teams on the track, and it's like, you know, Ferrari very obviously they're number one. To be honest, if Red Bull shows the reliability still, it's not going to be an argument for me, man. Red Bull they might come for that Ferrari spot. So I can't even sit here and begin to try to pretend in front of all of y'all that Red Bull ain't hot on the heels because they are. But right now, I think comfortably with the upgrades and with the adjustments that McLaren has done, I mean, you just for strongest teams and fastest teams on the grid right now, I mean, you got to go Red Bull, Ferrari, McLaren, right? Because until Mercedes, stops the porpoising or, maybe gets some, I mean, man, you saw George Russell complaining of like neck and back pain from porpoising or like chest pain too. Like the car is physically hurting the drivers. And uh, coming out of Imola, like you see Toto, you see Lewis, they're all talking about like, listen, we know it's not the best car, but we have to work towards giving y'all that good machinery because right now George Russell is keeping them in whatever fight they're in. He's finished top five at every single race. You can't argue that stat. Now, it was top five. It wasn't a clean top five, but you can't argue those numbers. But with Lando saying earlier in the week, I think McLaren is comfortably, which that was bold, but they're comfortably the third best team in F1 right now. He said we've worked on weaknesses and we've made improvements. There's a lot of positives from it, but I think we are comfortably third, I would say. So like that's a direct quote from the guy. I mean, I would have to agree a little bit. I would definitely have to agree a little bit. I had I had zero faith in McLaren, like not even a little bit going into the season. Well, not going into the season, but after the first race, man, I thought they had it right in practice, but they had it all wrong. I had no idea. Like it just took me for a loop because I'm like, man, with the start that they had at the season, where do you go from there? But fortunately for them, that was rock bottom. There was nowhere to go but up. So I mean, the as long as the graph trends upward for McLaren, they're going to be okay. Let's get Danny Rick a little bit more comfortable in that car and have him really push. It was unfortunate in Imola because like, you know, shit happens, man. That's the way she goes. Sorry, shout out Carlos Sainz, but sorry, dude. Like I know that was tough. You just signed two brand new deals, brand new year, two brand new years at Ferrari. Sorry, I straight up can't fucking talk. But I mean, you sign a new deal and you get wrecked out first race on, and it's not his fault, so he can hang his head high with that. But I mean, there's a lot to prove this weekend. I mean, McLaren just have to show that they can still get in the fight, but they need to do it with both cars to become an elite status, F1 team. Ferrari, they just need to make sure they keep business as usual and make sure they have both cars see the checkered, and they're going to be just fine. Mercedes, they just need to figure it out, man. We're going into round five and we're still bouncing around the track. I know as of right now, I know everybody's got a little bit of porpoising, but Mercedes by far, by a long shot, not even comparably close, by a long shot, that car is like you just bought a ticket to freaking Six Flags and got on the nearest roller coaster and rode it the whole day for 50 laps, for 50 times around it. That's how bad it looks. Like it's a little tough look watching the Mercedes, like especially when they've been the pinnacle for so long. They've had a dominant grip on the competition for so long, and like right now it's just simply not looking that way. And like I said earlier, it literally has to do with the fact that the only reason they're still in the game by any means right now, don't get me wrong, Lewis is up there. Like he's still gonna get he's the 7 time, man, arguably 8 time world champion. If Chris was here, he'd be correcting me saying 8 time world champion. But like he's the 7 time. So it's very obviously not. I'm never going to sit here and bash Lewis Hamilton for not getting that car in the position that it needs to be because I know what was the rumor, guy. Like, let me know in the comments. But like, what was the rumor? Not really a rumor. Actually, it wasn't a rumor at all. It was just straight up fact. Lewis and George's cars are a little bit different, and not that's not to say they're giving the better car on purpose to George. They're just testing a few things. They're testing, hey, let's try this setup with Lewis and this setup with George. Oh, well, Lewis porpoised way more than George, or George porpoised, this, that, and the other. But like, I totally get that. But at the same time, I mean, how much testing you got to do to at least get them in the points or top five or within the hunt at 6 or 7? Because right now, you got VB, you got my boy Valtteri. Bro, he's on the heels of these teams, and he's in a Romeo. He's in an Alfa Romeo. Like, oh man, I can't even to begin to sit here and dap up Alfa Romeo F1 team as a team because, like, bro, Joe Guan Yu, he's working out beautifully. Like he's basically what I wanted Yuki Tsunoda to do last year. Like Yuki, you saw an interview with him today too. He did a little bit of press. Yuki, he used last season as a learning experience and an example because, I mean, you heard it from him. He got in, he was like, man, I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea what was going on. I got in the car and I just wanted to push the limit as fast as possible. And, that's on me. But with me doing that all last year and me using that first year at AlphaTauri and really getting the hang of things and understanding how Formula One works and how these cars work and how you're supposed to push them, like there's a time to push, but there's a time to take care of shit. But he said it himself. He goes, no, I think doing that all last year like helped me. Like I think that just helped me with stuff that I needed to do. And hearing him say that, hearing watching him mature just a little bit, it is gonna be pretty cool to see. But nah, man, I mean, I think Alfa Romeo just absolutely knocks it out of the park with their driver lineup. I've said it in previous episodes, but their driver lineup is literally insane. You have a very very good rookie. He gets consistent data out of that car. He gets great starts. He races well. He's very low risk. So like that, like it's a good spot to be in a rookie to get your feet wet. Now, the low risk part, sometimes you're gonna have to thread that needle. But uh, for this year, just him getting acclimated to F1 because man, it's the pinnacle of motorsport. Like he's just gonna have to figure out a few things for himself. But I mean, for Alfa Romeo to be racing, let's say like Haas, AlphaTauri, and Mercedes to all kind of be racing each other right now, it's kind of crazy to see, and it's crazy to even say out loud. Like it, it's kind of like I don't know. It's where I thought Aston Martin should have been, but for whatever reason, Crashton Martin is just man, that car it looks horrible, doesn't it? Like, guys, I'm just gonna talk to y'all directly right now. That Aston Martin, I haven't seen one good weekend out of it. I haven't seen one good practice session. I haven't seen one good like qualifying laps because even when they put in a lap and you're like, man, that looked a bit fast. That looked like it was showing some serious pace. And you just see them get knocked down one by one down the grid as other people are putting in faster laps. Like I'm talking by full seconds, 2, 3 seconds, 1 second, like not even tenths or hundredths anymore, full seconds, just completely off the pace. And I'm like, man, and it's not the drivers. I give Lance Stroll a lot of shit, and I give Lawrence Stroll a lot of shit. But like, I think Lance has earned my respect for the daddy bought me a seat in F1. I think he has shown on multiple occasions that he is he can race. He belongs on the F1 grid. I'm gonna give him that. He's masterful in the rain in wet weather conditions and slippy conditions. He's fairly great. Like if it's raining, and shout out to Rob and F1 Fantasy Hub on Twitter, but if it's raining and I'm making a fantasy team for F1, I'm picking Lance Stroll. Like he's on my roster at some capacity. Like that's what I'm doing. So like I can't even blame Lance Stroll. He can drive, and you can't blame Sebastian because that's the 4 time man. And I know like I don't want to see him leave. This is gonna get real depressing, but I don't want to see Sebastian Vettel leave. I know he's getting to that point, and if no other team wants him, and the only seat he has is with Aston Martin, it's like, uh, you know, you gotta play the cards you were dealt. But it's not him because he's a 4 time champion and has proven that he will continue to try to get as much as he can out of that car. The problem is that I think they're there. I think like until they get upgrades or like until they show some sign of like life, even if they show anything like that, I mean, I need to see like an overnight change. I think it's getting to that point to where it's like it it's literally it has to be overnight now. We're going 5 rounds of them not even I mean, man, well, you can't really give them a full 5 rounds. You can't give them a full 5 rounds of racing because Seb wasn't there for the first two, and Hulkenberg, he can only do so much going into the car because yes, I understand he was the reserve driver. He's there. He's around the team a lot. Totally understand that. But he's not as close to the development or as close as the practices as it may seem. He just has to remain ready, fit, and ready to go for the team. And he was, and he stepped in and he did a great job for what it was. But you can't really go off of any data he's giving you because he's going off of limited practice sessions and a race just for 2 weeks in the car. That's it. Like that's it. You saw him his first weekend racing with Hulkenberg back. Like you like mid race, the injury was like, "Oh, can you tell me what's going on with the car?" And he's like, "I don't know. I'm just racing. Let me race." And I'm like, that's what's going on. So I don't know. It just seems like a bunch of chickens with their head cut off at Crashton Martin right now. And I'm gonna continue to to say it's Crashton Martin. But I mean, let's get into the weekend. We do have the Miami GP. You know, we got Red Bull and Ferrari fighting. We know they're going to be fighting. Williams, I'll keep saying it. They just need both cars to see the checkered flag. After last week's episode and hearing Mirko and F1 data analysis really go in on these cars, on what they're producing on the grid, there should be no reason that Williams isn't trying to get some points here and there. I know, I mean, okay, before y'all just attack me and say I'm dumb, yes, obviously every F1 team on the grid is trying to score points. I totally get that. But I mean, Latifi's time's going to get up, man. His number's going to get called. And like, I just don't know. I just, what am I trying to say here? I just don't know how long Latifi can stay in F1. Why keep doing this shit, man? I just don't know because I know his dad's a big investor and the new team principal with Yost is looking really promising. They're trying to create a winning culture there. I totally understand that. But at what point does he start costing his own dad money? Like we we've obviously see Albon has done everything he can in his power to do something for Williams. And like I said, I'm being on a high horse here. I'm just talking my shit, okay? Okay. I'm just talking my shit, but like I don't know. 5 races in, Albon has given very consistent results. Yes, I understand like it's not the fastest car all the way around track. Mind you though, it is the fastest car in its top speed in straight lines. They're sitting tied at 305 with Red Bull. So it's like I don't know. At what point at what point do you start expecting a little bit more from Latifi because he can't stay there forever? And, you know, his dad being an investor, but Yost being a very winnable and creating a winning culture team principal, that's gonna clash eventually. You just got to think. And, you know, if the Williams seat opens up, I don't even know who's gonna take it because going into the Pierre Gasly, rumors and where does he go after AlphaTauri? Like it's like where what does he do? Because right now, other than AlphaTauri and him re-signing with there, like he's I mean I am I correct in thinking that he's hit the ceiling at AlphaTauri? There's no more higher that he can go. He's consistently qualies almost P5. He he sometimes get P4. He puts in great qualification laps. Like it, he has great races. He's a smart racer. He's very rarely, unless it's the Honda engines just completely shitting on him, but very rarely is he DNFing or crashing, or he's a part of anything like that. So it's like, man, I don't want it to be true because I'm such a McLaren and Danny Rick fan. I think Lando and Danny are great. I think they're great, but very literally, unless Lewis retires, which now he's come out in the past week saying he's definitely not. So it's like, where does Pierre go? Where does Gasly go? Because he deserves a champion car. Like or he deserves at least a race winnable car. Because right now, I think the Alpha. Yes, I understand what happened in 2020. I understand that he won at Monza, but damn, a lot of things had to happen for him to win at Monza. Like that's just straight fact. But I don't know, man. I just think that he either re-signs with AlphaTauri. I don't think he downgrades and goes to Williams because if Latifi's gone, I don't know if that happens. But I don't know, man. I think Crash and Martin has a lot to figure out. Haas just needs to find some consistency. They're great, but sometimes some weekends they do still look like Haas. So they need to find some consistency. McLaren's graph needs to be just keep going up there because they're looking good. Each weekend they've looked better and better and better. 2 years in a row, Lando gets P3 in Imola. That my man's loves that track, and I can't blame him. It's awesome. Like I'm glad he did great there. But let's get into the Miami GP now. Predictions, predictions. I'm gonna go ahead and get into Chris's predictions a little bit, since he's not here with us. And that totally sound like he passed it away, but he's literally kicking up his feet and hanging in Hawaii, like he's having a grand old time. But he wants it very clear on record that for podium finishers, he's got Checo, Max, and Leclerc. Leclerc with the P3, Max with the P2, and Checo getting his win, getting a win under Red Bull. And man, he deserves it. He needs a win. He needs to show that he is totally capable of being Max Verstappen's second driver. He's totally capable of doing what the team needs him to do. He's totally capable of winning races, having good qualities, giving good feedback, showing that he belongs in F1. Because I'm not going to lie, man, after the 2020 season, I had my doubts that we were even going to see Checo in F1 anymore. He was leaving Racing Point. He wasn't going to be signed there again. All the other seats were locked up virtually. Everybody signed a little bit earlier than him. Actually, not even a little bit, way earlier than him. Everybody got locked in and signed way earlier than him. And the only seat at the end of the year with Albon exiting F1 and his negotiations with Red Bull falling through was with Red Bull. And I think them picking up Checo was great. He had a little bit of a lackluster season last year. It wasn't bad. By no means was the season bad last year. It just wasn't Max Verstappen's teammate. It wasn't, you know, he was finishing P3, P4, P5, occasional P2, this and the other when Max wasn't winning. But at the same time, their pace is just so there's just such a big pace gap in between them. And Checo, as long as he's still closing that gap from weekend to weekend to weekend, I think Red Bull just has to keep it with him. But no, man, Chris wants it on record knowing that in Miami, Checo is going to stand on that P1 podium. And, you know, I kind of have to agree. Mine's a little different. I do agree with them. Mine's a little different, but I think I'm going, let's see. For our podium finishers, I think Max is going to win again. As long as that Red Bull is reliable and continues to see the checkered flag, I think Max is going to win. And I'm going Carlos Sainz second, Leclerc third. I think Checo's going to finish P4. Listen. I back Chris. I Chris, hear me out, bro. Hear me out. I back Checo. I think he deserves a win, and I think, hey, man, it's a solid option for you to go with. I just don't think it's going to be this weekend. I just don't think it's gonna for whatever reason. Sometimes some drivers are going to be hesitant to push. I don't know how long they've had to practice. I know they've run this in the sim probably multiple times, but I don't know, man. This GP is going to be exciting. Miami's going to be exciting. It's just kind of surrounded by just goofy stuff, man. I mean, fake water to weird turns to a freaking chicane with curbs going into the pit lane. You know, this being rich people's playground, it just feels like a money grab. We're racing in a freaking car park. Like it's a little fugazi, but you keep it rolling. And I'm just stoked we have three US GPs now, and we have Miami debuting this year. We have Vegas debuting next year, and it's gonna be fun and it's gonna be big. But I think that's what I'm doing. I think Max is gonna win again. Carlos Sainz is gonna be P2. Leclerc's gonna be P3. Christian Martin's still gonna be Christian Martin. I really hope McLaren can show some life and maybe finish with like a 4-5 or a 6-5 or just get just get Danny, Rick, and Lando on the same pace. That's all I'm asking because right now Lando has proven time and time again since 2019, especially in 20. It really started in 2020. 2019 was his rookie year. He worked out a lot of stuff. The McLaren car wasn't the McLaren car it is today, and they weren't the team they are today. But from 2020 to 2021 to now, that man has only gotten better. And it's been a pleasure to see. But at the same time, I think what was said earlier this week that uh, that Lando can, if given a championship car, he can easily hang with Leclerc and Max. He can hang up there 100%. He just needs the same machinery. And with that going on, I think McLaren will get there. They just need to keep trending forward like they are. They just need to straight up keep trending forward like they are, and that's all they got to do. But I mean, like I said, I don't know. I don't think both the Crash and Martins. I don't think they see the checkered flag. It could be either one of them. Williams just have to see the checkered flag. I really hope I really hope if Red Bull doesn't have any reliability issues this weekend, they will cement themselves as okay, they might be the top car on the grid, and Ferrari's got their work cut out for them because Ferrari can't let that gap slip. And Carlos Sainz having a DNF last week, and Leclerc missing out on more points of what he could have had by bending it on that last chicane. It's like they're gonna need to keep that gap and increase it anytime they get. Like very honestly, that's just me being straight up. But I mean, it should be an exciting weekend, and y'all make sure y'all tune in. I'm gonna now that it's in America. Thank God I get blessed with some freaking suitable times for me to go like actually sit and watch the race instead of it being at 5 in the morning or 4 in the morning for Chris since he's in Seattle and I'm in Texas. So it's like that should be good. But I don't know, man. This weekend's going to be tricky. This weekend's going to be tricky. It's going to be interesting to see what actually goes down. But yeah, guys. I'm sorry about this week's episode. Chris had to go out of town for work, but we don't stop the grind over here. He'll be back for the next episode. He'll definitely be back for the next episode, and it's going to be an interesting weekend. And me flying solo, I miss my guy, Chris. If you hear me, I miss my guy. I'm just kidding, guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe our YouTube. We are officially. Can I get a drum roll, please? Officially on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you can get your podcasts, anchor.fm/TLUP F1. That's our channel. Like, go suss that shit. Go look at it. Just give us an ad on podcast channels. Give us a follow. Like, comment, subscribe our YouTube. And this was episode 12 of the Lop Good Podcast. Holy shit, guys, we made it. Later, family.